thank you for inviting me to be here tonight. And when JD did invite me to participate in DASER, he encouraged me to talk about work that does not directly engage science. Thus, I'm presenting a few different projects this evening. And while I work around the world, I am primarily going to focus on Dallas, as I feel that it is valuable to present a view of the city that is different from the persistent narrative of big oil, big hair, and a presidential assassination. However, each of the projects does have an underpinning that is important in art-science collaborations. Earlier this year, as a visiting artist at the Dallas Museum of Art, I was tasked with the goal of encouraging visitors to move throughout the museum and the various collections. I aspired to produce a project that revealed fresh narratives between works of art, honoring cultures and traditions that are little known or misunderstood. Over the course of 3 months, I listened and talked with curators, educators, visitors, and dug deep into the museum's permanent collection. This work unfolded against the backdrop of our increasingly polarized political and social climate, the ban against Muslims, and the move to build a wall on our southern border. Inspired by all of this, with the belief and experience that art brings us together, I created a tour titled Beyond Borders that begins in this image here with a set of photographs by Texas photographer Jeff Winaham. To the right of the photographs is a set of laminated cards that I designed. The front of each of the cards includes an image of work of art and a complimentary phrase that I authored or found. My interpretation of the card is on the back. My interpretation of the work of art is on the back of each card. The set of cards also includes a map guiding the museum visitor through the 3 floors of this tour. The first card features this Winaham image of a car and birdhouses, reflecting on how much of the American migration story is tied to the automobile, bird migration, and the current international migration crisis. I start the tour with this phrase: the story of the earth is essentially a story of movement. The back of the card reads, as you stand here in the Dallas Museum of Art, relatively still and stable, the earth is spinning on its axis at over 1,000 miles per hour. It is moving through space around the sun at 71,000 miles per hour. The sun itself is whirling around the center of our galaxy at an immense speed, while the galaxy is moving away from other galaxies even faster. Meanwhile, back on Earth, thousands of species of birds are freely traveling and migrating across man-made borders at average speeds of 20 to 40 miles per hour. Their migration is propelled by the seasons and their need to breed and raise their young in habitat that supports their well-being and security. As we move through the landscape moves through us. This is a sculpture by Barbara Hepworth, and on the back of the card is a quote about her childhood. All my early memories are of forms and shapes and textures. Moving through and over the West Riding landscape with my father in his car, the hills were sculptures. The roads defined the form. Above all, there was the sensation of moving physically over the contours of fullness, through hollows and over peaks, feeling, touching, seeing, through mind and hand and eye. This sensation has never left me. I, the sculptor, am the landscape. I am the form and the hollow, the thrust and the contour. Barbara Hepworth. Underneath the Hepworth quote, I wrote, since the dawn of man, humans have been on the move, first migrating out of Africa, populating distant lands, adapting and creating in the cooperative dance of evolution. Aspiring to get people exploring works of art in cases, which we tend to walk by en route to paintings and sculptures, I also focused on smaller objects, including a vase from Iran dating from the 11th to 14th century that is in the far right of this case. On the front of the card is a line from the Rumi poem, translated by Coleman Barks, music master. We rarely hear the inward music, but we're all dancing to it nevertheless. The back of the card holds a larger excerpt from the poem, You that love lovers. This is your home. Welcome. In the midst of making form, love, made this form that melts form, with love for the door, soul the vestibule. Watch the dust grains moving, in the light, near the window. This dance is our dance. We rarely hear the inward music, but we're dancing to it nevertheless, directed by the one who teaches us the pure joy of the sun, our music master. Below the poem is the text. Rumi is a 13th century Persian Muslim poet, Islamic scholar, theologian and Sufi mystic. Rumi's poetry has transcended ethnic divisions and national borders for 7 centuries. Spotlighted in this case are kisi pennies, early 20th century currency from Sierra Leone. Exchanging through genuine conversation is like having riches. The back of the card reads, The arc of human history stretches back to Africa and our beginnings, the place from which multiple identities and even cosmologies emerged, creating the rich, diverse tapestry of human life that is our world today. The vibrant life and culture that extends across the continent has inspired a prolific tradition of oral and written storytelling. Throughout Africa, there are proverbs that equate genuine conversations and relationship with wealth and riches. Africa has much to teach. The painting at the center of this image, gray, blue, black, and pink circle, is Georgia O'Keeffe's rendering of Hopi Kachinas. Thus I begin with the Hopi proverb, all dreams spin out from the same web. The back of the card reads, the Hopi word for dream, damoki, literally means a bundle, which might be thoughts, images, or dreams, all originating from spirit. The Hopi Kachinas evoked in the central nodes of O'Keeffe's paintings are spirits that come with gift burdens. Every Hopi carries with himself or herself the obligation, i.e. burden, to do the right thing, which includes envisioning or dreaming a positive future. The Kachinas inspire the Hopi towards actions that will ensure harmony and the health and continuity of the community. When ritual songs and dances are performed, it is to assist every Hopi in living these ideals in a heartfelt way. The large textile in this photograph is a Navajo eye dazzler banquet from 1890. On the front of the card is the Navajo proverb, "Be still and the earth will speak to you." The back of the card reads, throughout the ages, mystics, sages, indigenous shamans, and teachers have sat in contemplative silence, connecting to the vibration of the universe and our planet. By quieting outer activity, including that of the mind, we can listen to that which is behind the ordinary sense experience that defines our world and discover the nature of our inner selves. Here, there is an ultimate, continuous vibration that underlies all others. It is present everywhere and knows no borders and no boundaries. This vibration is what we call love. In 2010, I founded Make Art with Purpose, also known as MAP. MAP produces collaborative, interdisciplinary arts and design projects addressing social and environmental concerns around the world, generating new models for creative practice and engaging a variety of stakeholders in the process. In 2015, Downtown Dallas Inc., an organization that is the steward of Dallas, invited MAP to create a project that activated an underutilized city park. Aspirations for the project included producing public art connected to the environmental history of the old Trinity River meanders which was moved and straightened for flood control, and to engage a broad spectrum of the community in every process of design and production. The core participants were students in the architecture and building trades clusters at Dallas's Skyline High School. This was the second large-scale civic project that MAP produced with Skyline, advancing an important part of our mission, creating long-term, generative relationships. Here you see the students' initial plans and designs, which they then translated into clay models. Working with construction firms, the students built forms, which were then filled with concrete. They also designed mosaics that reflected the four seasons and the flora and fauna of the Trinity River. Throughout the process, the students worked with true-to-size paper patterns, including on-site. 60-plus students, their instructors, teaching artists, and other collaborative partners brought to life the natural environment of this site. In the process, the students learned the ins and outs of landscape architecture, engineering, and construction for civic projects, project management, and the natural history of their place. They also activated a site where people now gather for lunch and public programs. In 2016, MAP worked with the architecture firm Hepworth to design and build the MAP Mobile Pavilion. With support from the Dallas Office of Cultural Affairs, MAP used the pavilion as a place to create cultural programming in neighborhoods on the borders of the city limits, some distance from museums and cultural centers. We aspired to collaborate with emerging artists, providing a high-profile platform for exhibition and community engagement around a pressing social and/or environmental concern, and to produce a test project for MAP's nascent Mobile Ecology Art Lab. The pavilion is adaptable, responding to site and use. Programming takes place on and around the structure, including a series of poster and book bag making workshops during the 2016 presidential election where people visualized and expressed their voice. A primary programming goal was to collaborate with and provide exhibition and performance opportunities to artists of color, building capacity and racial equity in the arts. Sin Fronteras by the artist collective Tierra Firme addressed the Texas-Mexico border. The installation included a grid map from natural dyed cloth, rocks, minerals, and other natural objects from the region. This image was taken after the installation was vandalized. Rocks were pulled from Tierra Firme's weaving structure, tossed about, and stolen. Our response was to put up a sign asking the viewer to consider the implications of the altered installation, which inspired community conversation about the role and consequences of public art. Off-loom structures by the artist collective Fiber Hive address the environmental history and high-rise infrastructure of downtown Dallas. The plaza sits above an ancient spring and what were once woodlands. The sculptures and accompanying text panels poetically connected the natural and built environments, inviting the viewer to contemplate their surroundings. As I mentioned, the pavilion is also a test project for the MAP Mobile Ecology Art Lab, a transportable classroom, exhibition, and making space. This shipping container project is being developed with partners at locations around the world. The container will be designed by Keck, the noted architecture firm that originated container architecture. Keck has won several international awards, including the 2000 American Architecture Award for this school in Korea. The plans and models for this structure are in the collection of the Museum of Modern Art. Keck also has extensive experience in designing mobile shipping container structures. Interdisciplinary projects produced out of the Mobile Ecology Art Lab will engage the arts, science, and design and include the River Liver, created by Los Angeles-based Green Meme. The River Liver, constructed from natural indigenous plants, remediates water systems. The smaller the water systems, the more the sculptures actually do the work of cleaning the water. In larger bodies of water, such as the Pacific Ocean, The River Liver stimulates community conversations regarding the health of our oceans. From conversation can come ideas and perhaps action for adapting to the rise of the oceans. These are just a few of the many projects produced by MAP and our partners, and I invite you to visit our website and our podcast to learn more. Thank you.